Hello there. Welcome once again to another episode of Wisdomization. To wisdomize is to make wiser and to make smarter. Please hit the subscription button and subscribe to my channel so that each time we put out any content, any lecture, you are going to be part of it. Welcome once again to my platform. Right, today we are going to take a look at meme or memetics. What is memetics? Memetics. We're going to explain what this means and how we can free our minds from social, cultural programming of other people. We don't want to believe that our minds are being controlled. Our minds are being invaded. Our thoughts, the ideas, the notions, the conceptions, and the concepts in our head in which we construct our entire behavior, our entire behavioral pattern is the makings of other people. So if the entire structure of your behavioral pattern is not coming from you, then who is outside of you controlling you, right? Who is controlling you? The things you like to buy. If you like to buy Gucci, right? Some people like to buy Gucci, spend extravagant money for some ugly, useless things. Anyway, but who conditions your behavior? If you're a consumer of products, who conditions that mindset in you, right? If you have gone to school and you have certain viewpoints, who programmed your mind to that extent, right? So we're going to take a look at this mind programming and what are the agents of this mind programming. And that is why we are narrowing this down to talking about memes. Memes are social, cultural, ideological viruses. When we talk about virus, people, we think about it in terms of biological organism, in terms of pathogens, in terms of an organism that is able to intrude into the cell of your body and then begin to replicate, right? And to make you sick. That's what we think about when we think about viruses. But did you know the ideas are viruses? Ideas are viruses. And there are viruses in terms of idea going forth every day, influencing people and changing their behavioral patterns, right? So if this is the case, you have to just understand that when you watch television, when you log into social media, when you listen to your peer groups, right, that you are being contaminated, you are being conditioned. The virus, you're downloading a virus. Remember, the brain itself, in a literal sense, is a computer program. The human brain, the structure of the brain functions like a computer program, right? So you have software running within your mind body biological system, right? And people who understand this understand how to condition other people. And that is why you watch advertisements, they are putting subliminal messages in those advertisements, which you don't even see most of the time, but it's there, right? But it conditions you from the subliminal, your subliminal self, that hidden self that you don't even know that exists, that blind self that you have not really explored. Because to explore your other dark side, your hidden self, the subconscious, what in religious concept they call the underworld, that region of your life, your existence that you don't often want to deal with, you don't want to face, right? To go down to that very dark side of you and explore that is very important in understanding who you are. Because without understanding who you are, it's very difficult it's very easy for people to condition you, right? And for you to have, and for me, and for you to have spiritual freedom. Spiritual freedom means you have to understand how the society is being programmed, right? People can say, oh, I'm educated, I cannot be programmed. No, the masses of the people are programmed. We talk of behavioral engineering. There are people who can engineer the entire population to change a behavior. Absolutely. In some of these corporations, companies, mega companies that design products, right? Some of them will go and hire a highly advanced psychologist, industrial psychologist who have studied the behavior of people and design products to appeal to their subliminal mindset. So you're consuming things based on other people's mind controlling program, right? So to understand this is very important in being able to retain your humanity, being able to retain your identity, being able to say no to mind conditioners or mind programmers, and they're all over the place. Sometimes you hear, oh, somebody's an influencer, right? What does it mean? What does it mean to the influencer? He is a contaminator. He is like somebody who is infected with an idea, like infection, and then he's infecting other people with those ideas. And these other people becomes the agents that propagate those viruses that he or she originated. So we're going to explore ways you can avoid yourself from being taken advantage of, from being mind programmed, from being conditioned, from being led to where ordinarily you would not want to be. So I have, as always, a little slide I would like to share where we will carry on the conversation. We carry on the conversation from there. Okay. So this is going to be our topic. Deprogramming the mind from memetic virus. Why is it important to deprogram the mind? Deprogramming, which means there is a program, there is a software program running in the mind that need to be deprogrammed to be able to maintain to have a full control of your intentions, of your ideas, of your mind, and learning not to be influenced easily in terms of your decision-making process. Because many people you see they out there are sheeple. They don't have thinking of their own. They cannot make a decision, for example, unless they watch TV. They don't know how to find out information. They cannot do anything unless their doctor or their teacher ask them to do that. They don't have minds. So it's easy to control such people in herds like cattle, right? They cannot make a decision unless their pastor approves it or asks them to make such decision. You see, you're under strict mind control. Your mind is being run. There's a software program in your mind. And as I said, the brain is actually a software program. The brain is a computer program running. So there are two aspects of programming that we receive. One is social programming, cultural programming, or what we call environmental programming. You see people talking of nature or nurture, right? Nurture has to do with environmental construction. Your environment determines your behavior, right? But then we have these other innate biological mechanics that programs our behavior, and we are talking about we're talking about the gene or the genetics, your genetic information, the information encoded in your DNA determines your behavior to some extent. And that is why it's very unhealthy to try to make people to be like you. Is unnatural, is anti-divine, is anti-God to try to make people be like you because their basic biological programming might not be like your own basic biological programming. And if you force people to behave according to your own rules, remember you're reacting based on your intrinsic biological programming, right? And you cannot try to make other people to see, um, to behave exactly like you. You can't do that. So what you might do is to try to awaken their God-given inner third eye, if you may, for them to see things themselves and live life according to their own philosophy, according to um, their own knowledge, based on the facts available to them. So, but then, even though we know there are two aspects of conditioning, one has to do with the gene, but we are not strictly, some people say we are slaves to our genetic makeups, but I don't think so. And many researchers also don't think so because of something called now epigenetics, meaning your gene, your genetic programming, you know, can acquire new information, new updates from your environment based on the data, feedback data it receives, right? So the gene programming could actually change. So in essence, we are not strictly slaves to our gene, right? So if you understand that, you know that even if you have certain programs, certain behavioral programs, so that's just my nature. Nature can also change because your gene can change through the process they now call epigenetics. So, but the ones we are dealing with today has to do with environmental mind conditioning, environmental mind conditioning, and how ideas, thought forms, remember, thoughts are spirit, thoughts are spirit in terms of its quantum understanding. Thoughts are vibration. And when somebody says something, a thought or a thought form issued forth from that person, and then the other person decodes it. That decoding can either heal you or cause you dis-ease, right? Dis-ease, right? And that is why you see people saying, always speak positively to your children. You know, that is very deep, that is very spiritual, because constant negativity creates disharmony within the bodies or the spiritual vibration of people. Everything is vibration, right? And since everything is vibration, um, understanding that what you do, what you hear, your environment, the vibration of people around you can influence you either negatively or positively, then you got to know how to keep yourself safe from um, going down the negative path that you don't want to go. So let's take a look at the mind virus. Mind virus. You know, see, this guy has a parasite in his consciousness, in his mind. I'm just using this as a visual image, as a visual representation, because I'm like being visual. So you see, somebody has a thought form, an idea, a parasite, right, living in their consciousness. And could you imagine if a parasitic organism, by the word of memetics or thought form, other people's thought form, are residing inside your consciousness, inside your mind, you know that your behavior is going to be driven by this parasitic organism, right? Your behavior is going to be controlled by that parasite living inside, drilling hole inside your mind and taking possession of you, right? So how do you get this parasite or other people's thought forms out of your mind from being controlling you? There are positive thought forms, there are negative thought forms, right? I'm talking of negative thought forms, the thing that engineers you from the subliminal, from the subconscious, and which you're not even aware of, but that determines your entire behavior spectrum, right? So the mind parasite or the meme living in you, your idea about family, your idea about marriage, about having children, about going to school, about your idea of God, we are all engineered from forces outside you. And most of the time, you have not investigated these things that were presented to you. Most of the time, people don't investigate. You take things from the face value, right? Because sometimes when you actually investigate reality that was given to you from childhood, when you actually investigate it with an open mind, you will likely abandon such belief systems you've acquired over the years because most of them are not grounded. Most of them are nothing but just mind programming, social, family, cultural mind or educational mind programming, right? And these mind programming mimetic ideas could be like a parasite living in your consciousness. So the idea of meme came from Richard Dawkins. I think he's British. Um, he's an Oxford-trained biologist he first introduced the concept of meme in his book uh, titled The Selfish Gene. So if you see this book, I think he's dealing with biological evolution and things like that. If you see this book, please try to read it. So, but this guy is the first man or the first person who introduced this very idea of meme, from where other people start talking about it and start talking about memetics and how a unit of idea is contagious, is infectious, can infect people and change mass behavior, right? A meme, according to Dawkins, is understood as a unit of cultural transmission or imitation. A unit of cultural transmission or imitation, which means we are all living in a simulated reality where everything is imitation, everything is copied. All your behaviors are copied, right? Which is okay because nobody's on island. But the thing is, how do you know that the behavior in your head is not intentionally put forth by other people to condition you to adopt certain behavior so that it will benefit whoever the programmer is, right? So from meme, you get memetics. So what is memetics? It is an idea or concept. Okay, memetics as an idea and concept are viewed as living organism, right? Living organism. Memetics are ideas, a thought, like an idea in your head, but is viewed as a living organism. Is something sentient, something intelligent, something that can self-replicate and self-perpetuate, an organism that can self-preserve, right? And by self-preserving, what does it do? This idea has to jump from a host to host and try to perpetuate itself. So memetics view ideas as capable of self-replication just as a biological organism. Memes are not only capable of biological type replication, they are also they also can spread from host to host. Memes use the human mind for self-replication as well as transmissions. Examples of meme include gossip, ideas, catchphrases, musical tones, jokes, um, fashion modes, etc. Memes exist in the realm of ideosphere, in the realm of the ideas, right? Thus, the human mind provides both the incubation and the viral spread. So think of any idea that you have heard that you unconsciously or consciously accepted and that controls your behavior. This whole definition is saying that that idea is a virus that has infected your mind. A virus has infected your mind. You have been diseased. And these memes does not just self-replicate inside you, but you also have to transmit this very virus to other people until everybody is infected by these ideas, right? So, as I stated earlier, the brain is like a computer system. It has its own software and programming. So, the programming often starts from early childhood, right? from early childhood. This computer system is programmed. And you know, in any computer system, you see that it is very possible for a virus to infect that computer system, just as our minds can be infected with ideas, right? Have you ever seen somebody who just start hanging out with the wrong crowd, and then before you know what is happening, is behaving exactly like those crowd of people that he's hanging out with, because a virus in in the form of thought forms has affected his or her minds, right? It's been contaminated, right? So memes as a mind virus. Memes are extremely contagious. They are like viruses. A virus is a submicroscopic infectious agent with a self-replication capacity. Virus can only replicate inside a host, that is, inside a living cell of an organism. Similarly, a meme can replicate only inside the minds of their host. Memes does Memes do not only replicate, they spread and self perpetuate, right? This picture grows. This picture just makes the hair on your back to stand, because is of course is viruses or infection. You see, that's how people transmit um, and infect other people through contact. But we have to understand that that is exactly how ideas infect other people. Some people have negative ideas, right? Some people have positive ideas, and these ideas are all contagious, right? But in this case, we're talking of negative memes, how your mind is being conditioned by infections you downloaded from other people. So if you look at this picture and you don't like it, see it's a disease, it's a bacteria infection, right? It's germ. And that is how other people's idea if infects you, affects you, affects you and determines your behavior. Because once you've been infected by other people's idea, it means that that virus inside you begin to determine your behavior, right? Because a meme is a self-conscious, self-replicating organism, as we have been taught. As we're saying here, a meme is a self-replicating organism, and this organism has the capacity for self-perpetuation. So you get contaminated, you get infected, and you transmit the ideas maybe to your children, to your neighbor, to your friends, and then it spreads, right? People around you are infected with memetic viruses, and they are transmitting and spreading the highly contagious mind parasites in the realm of the idiosphere. In the realm of the idiosphere, that's where memes are transmuted, right? Meme, meme, memes is not memes is. Memes are cultural behavioral modifiers, right? I put this picture here. You see, one person's idea in television, in newscast, can influence the masses not to think, right? Can influence the entire population to behave like they are retarded. Just a meme coming out of television or coming out of social media or coming from your parents can really stop you from reasoning, right? I can see these people are all like enchanted. Their minds are taken away. And one person, one magician, is the one who is determining what they feel, what they think, their perception. Not just your perception, but also the process of you coming to conclusion about your life is dictated by forces outside you, by some hidden subliminal extremely psychological determinants that are outside you, and you become one of those masses, right? See, the originator of the meme is here. And everybody is in this state of euphoria. They all bought into the meme. So imagine this being a pastor. Imagine this magician. Right? And pastors are also magicians. Being a pastor, he conditions the mind of entire congregation, and they cannot reason anymore. Their thought process stops. Their thought process stops. So once you begin to live your life like that, you know that your humanity is subjected to other people's programming. You've been programmed. The software in your head, your mind, your computer system has been programmed and it's been hijacked. Some people cannot reason outside what their pastor told them, or what their bishops told them, or what their popes told them, or what their school principal or university lecturers or professors told them. They cannot think beyond that. They cannot reason beyond what the television systems, the media systems are telling them. They don't even know that they can challenge it. Some people cannot reason beyond what their parents told them, right? So if you are one of these, then you are one of this crowd of people here who is incapable of reasoning, who've been enchanted. You've been enchanted. You've been taken advantage of, right? By a con artist, by somebody who gets into your head, gets into your mind, into your consciousness, and program your world view, right? So, since memes are units of cultural transmission, it is therefore vital to understand the psychosocial significance as a tool of behavior modification in the hands of the cryptocrats. And that is one of the things we're focusing on. The cryptocrats, who are they? These elite leaders who control other people. You know, when you watch television, for example, you don't know that somebody is remote controlling your mind because they know you cannot reason, you cannot think, you cannot investigate reality, right? When you sit down, you just listen to your pastor talk, you get sense of euphoria, right? And by doing that, you're speaking straightforward, you're walking straight into your right brain. The right brain is the one that is very emotional, it's not critical. And once your right brain is hijacked, people can tell you to do anything and you do it because you're not thinking. It's the left brain that is very critical, can use logic. That's why, like, sometimes when guys want to woo women, you sing songs, because then once you sing song, what you're trying to do, trying to synchronize their brain to the right brain, right? Once they begin to live in their right brain, it can, they take advantage of them, right? So just understanding this will help us to not to be taken advantage of by the system and also by people around us, right? So when somebody is singing this song and you're just feeling this feel emotion, but also use reason, use your left brain. Because when you feel this you think that's the reality. That's a word. It's just a fantasy, right? But then you bind it as if it is a concrete reality. But then once you are in that corner of operating only on your emotional right brain, because the brain is divided into two, right and left. So when they want to appeal to you, great orators, people who are great orators, great preachers, know how to tap into people's right brain. And that's why people just lose their mind when they hear certain preachers or certain orators. Listen to them, like if Obama is talking, for example, when he was running he was giving people some kind of religious euphoria because he knows how to colonize people's emotional self, right? People's emotional self, and they can no longer reason anymore, right? So the domino effect. If humans are agents of memetic transmission, what are the instruments of memetic spread? So since humans are agents that get contaminated, that get infected and affect other people, then what are the vehicles of the transmission of these mimetic mind viruses to other people, right? What are they? School is one of them. In school, they start reprogramming your mind. You know, in fact, if you have your own mind, oftentimes you cannot be in school because from elementary school, you are taught to be quiet. If you ask so much question, they see you as a troublemaker in class as a child, and your parents are going to get reported and get in trouble. So you're supposed to mind conditioning, mind programming begin in school, right? And if we understand the history of establishing school system was not meant to educate people. Always, it's funny to think that people have gone to school, are graduated, I have master's degree, and I'm educated. No, you've been programmed. You've been programmed because schools do not educate. They program you to be a worker because the history of school has to do with the European during the time of industrialization, when they begin to teach people how to work in factory. That's how school came to be. Initially, the history is not to educate you because to educate you means you have to be self-taught because the system of schooling teach you to work for the establishment. They teach you as a good boy or as a good girl to get a good job, be obedient and all these things to work for the system. They don't educate you. So one of the vehicles of mimetic transmission, the virus called meme to be transmitted to people is through the school system. And people who understand this will even begin to teach their children how to go beyond what the school is telling them, because often what the school is telling them is a bunch of gibberish and mind conditioning and mind programming. You make A's and then they say you're intelligent in school, right? A child who is creative, who don't want to sit down in class and do what every other person is seen as not successful. But that child might excel in other aspects of life. And that's how God designed his child. And the school system forces you to fit in a position that biologically, mentally, socially, you don't fit. You see, they break your spirit and make you to go along with line. I've seen people when I was in secondary school or high school who were music geniuses. These guys could pick up guitar and play very well, and nobody is teaching them. It's like they're born with it. And their parents have to force them to go to school and be a lawyer, because if you don't, quote unquote, go to school, you're not going to make it, right? Who determines what making it means? Who determines it, right? When we are growing up, you see a child who is very acrobatic, likes to do very acrobatic things, like to be outdoors, doesn't like to be sitting in the classroom from morning to night, listening to some boring lectures, right? And this child is confined to be what is not designed to be. They break your spirit. They break your spirit. Think of somebody who loves to play guitar. He doesn't want to be in school. It would have, and then, but the parents say, because parents are also responding to social conditioning. I want you to be a lawyer. I want you to be a lawyer. Your parents are millionaire. And if you tell your parents who are millionaire, you want to be an acrobat or you want to be a musician, they're going to look at you like you lost your head. So that is how memes are being transmitted. And school is one of the agents of mind programming. Somebody who has gone to school and is doing well. Most of them are rigidly mind conditioned by the society, right? They say we have the inventors, you have mechanics. Mechanics, somebody invents car and then somebody is a good mechanic. You're just fixing what other people invented. But the original is for you to be able to invent your own ideas. But you cannot invent your own ideas when the virus has eaten deep into your consciousness, because you're going to be responding to the ideas of your parents, the ideas of the society, of your peer pressures, of your church groups, trying to fit in, right? But this fitting in is done subconsciously. The programming is not overt, it's covert, right? So again, religion is another vehicle that transmits mimetic virus. You conditioned, you catechized, you go to Bible school, you program your mind, and oftentimes you don't have what it takes. You don't have the resources or the exposure for real theological investigation. So you are programmed. You know, you're programmed like, if you're molding a block, initially you have to mix cement with water and sand, and it's fluid, is moldable. But once you put it into this concrete square formula and allow it to harden up, it's been formed. And that's what usually schools and churches and religion does to people. They mold you into the category the society expects, societal expectation. And if you fall outside of that, you are a problem child. You're a problem, you have a behavior problem because you don't fit into the category of people, right? So peer pressure. Peer pressure is another strong influence or another vehicle of mimetic transmission. The level at which your peers influence you is often not overt, it's covert. It's covert. The words, exchange of words you have with your friends has tremendous psychological influence on you. Even when we think of peer pressure, we think of children or teenagers, but even grown-ups, professors of in higher learning institutions are also influenced by their peers. That's why you have something called peer reviews. If you write a book or an article, in a journal, they say it has peer review. It means your peers are here and your peers are working with certain mindset. So if you don't agree with that establishment, they say it doesn't meet the requirement of peer review. So in other words, you cannot really be yourself. Even in research, you cannot be yourself. You have to think in line with others because that is what the society and the system wants you to do. They don't want you to be independent. They don't want you to think for yourselves. They want you to follow the head. They want you to follow the group, follow everybody. Because if you are different, it makes me uncomfortable. you know, it's like the matrix. Anyone who is different is seen as a dysfunction in the system. Anyone who is different, you're trying to do something different, the system sees you as a dysfunction. And guess what? They'll try to bring you back in and correct you. But real spiritual freedom is actually being able to live in harmony with the essence of your soul without being controlled by these other factors around you. I mean, everybody to some extent is being controlled. But as I say, is the level of your awareness, the level of your spiritual awareness will keep you grounded. Many people on this planet are not grounded. They follow social media, they follow this one, they're all over the place. The only thing they don't have is the self, the sense of self, in the sense that if you say you shut social media down today, people will go into chronic depression because they don't know what to do with their lives. If you close churches today, say nobody goes to church, some people will go into chronic depression. They cannot find themselves, right? If you say, okay, I'm closing a relationship for a week, no boyfriend, no girlfriend, some people don't know what to do with themselves. And if you haven't discovered who you are, your essence, your value, your identity, that you are a subsistent being, you exist, even though you recognize the existence of somebody else outside you, this otherness, but you got to know that you are at the center of your own identity. And if you're not, other people will influence you and you lose your identity. Not even within your family. You say, oh, I'm all for the family, I'm all for the family. No, you have to have self. You have to have self is important because if you don't have self in In family therapy, I think you call it emotional enmeshment. You're so emotionally enmeshed with other people that your identity is non-existent, is unhealthy, is not healthy. It's not healthy. So having that intrinsic sense of self is very important. And some people don't have it. Some people don't have it because of the memetic virus, the idea they have in their mind of what, quote unquote, relationship should be, um, or what social interaction should be, or what religion should be. So they lose themselves, multiple everywhere but nowhere. But if you remove everything outside of them, they're crushed. They crash. They can't be by themselves, right? So again, the family as the fundamental unit of a society in terms of programming. Family is one of the first place where people are programmed. And I wrote here, family as the initial mind, family as the initial mind programmer, often repeating the prevalent social norms or codes or memes. This family keep infecting you with what they think is social good, what they think is how a good child is. A good child is one who goes to school and then sits down and they become a doctor. Maybe that is your social norm in your family, And if you grew up and you didn't have maybe 30 vehicles, they say you're not successful. But maybe you're happy in your own reality, right? But the society has put this virus in your mind that makes you to believe that you're not successful, even though you might be more happy than somebody who you think has all the material acquisitions. So the MEMS or the mind virus begins infection from family, from dad, from mom, from older ones, and then you are programmed as to what you identify with, right? Again, one of the greatest instruments or vehicle of memetic transmission is social media. If you open people's head or brain, as I said, the brain is a software. This is what you see. Their entire neuronal or neurological structure is colonized by the social media. If you take Facebook away today, many people will go into chronic depression. They don't know what the fuck to do with their lives, right? Right? So many people's brains are like that. It's full of social media. I got to watch these reality TV shows and I have to do this, I have to do this, and they cannot not do that. And if you take those things away, they don't have the self. So the media is one of the greatest instrument of memetic mind infection. And because a lot of people sort of hooked up to this modern media system, modern media architecture or infrastructure, it is very simple and very easy for the cryptocrats, for the controller. There are people in the shadows who control mass behavior. Maybe sometime in the future we have a lot to talk about. We can talk about it. There are people who condition other people's behaviors, people who see the future like 300 years ahead and begin to condition behavior to tally or to agree with their vision of the world. And because a lot of people are hooked up to this false holographic illusion, right? Illusion of friendship. Social media will create illusion of friendship, illusion of inclusiveness, illusion of being liked. People have to click like for you to really know that you're liked. And that also came from the degeneration of identity, of individual identity, of the essence of our soul is gone. It's no longer there. If you need 30,000 likes for you to feel validated, you don't have self. You don't have self. Your self is non-existent, right? Does not exist. So because the cryptocrats, the controllers, the masterminders of the society have understood the human brain, the human neurology, they are inserting more and more mind controlling memes or viruses in the social platform for people to be more programmed to be locked into the grid, into the system of more both individual, community, social, and global mind controlling program using memes, right? Neuronal hypnosis. Are you the kind who cannot do with television? You can't do with television. You have to watch your news, demagogueries and misinformation, what they call information, news, misnews, right? So that's how a lot of people are. They are chained. This picture is very symbolic, right? They are chained to the system of indoctrination. They're like a temple, like a podium in your room where people brainwash you. And if you understand the electrical interface, the Blu-ray emission, and the electrical interface with your neurology, that the light, those blue light coming from television on a higher quantum vibration actually enters your skull, actually programs your mind, right? Programs your mind. I don't want to tell you those ones. So television is one of the greatest tools in the hands of the Luciferian elites for mind control. They put more and more memetics, mass behavioral viruses that goes forth condition people for their own agenda, right? Agenda. So from children, your brain or thinking process, content of your thinking or reasoning, your world views, perceptions, likes or dislikes are controlled by the magic box in your living room. Greater percentage of people's behaviors, political views, religious views, views about themselves, what constitutes your self-image, came from here, this program. And this is what you may call Luciferian one-eye programmer, right? The greatest programmer. That I said, is not just they are programming you, but the blue light. You see that blue ray light coming from has a frequency vibration. Blue, if you understand color spectrum, certain color vibrates, is very potent in certain areas of your life. It can condition you to a certain way. So you're staring into these and you subliminally, remember there are programs, that's what they call program. There are things they're putting there that you don't see because you only see the big picture. Maybe you just see people. But there are sequence of events that are being projected to your subconsciousness that programs you. And you think you are in charge of your behavior. No, your behavior. There are people who are in the shadows controlling you, and these people understand the workings of your mind. People are not as smart as you think they are. No, they're not. People are not as, it's easy to condition people's mind, especially by these evil people who rule from the shadow. What you buy, you like to buy Gucci, you like to buy, I don't like cheap things. I like to buy Gucci. Gucci, that name is funny. Italia. I like to buy Gucci, not because but because of the memetics, or the meme. A virus has been inserted into your mind. That virus is what is speaking. It's not you. It's a behavioral conditioning because this company was created by somebody and they designed the most ugly products, and you spent thousands, to consume them. That's how you've been programmed. Now, where do you see it? You see social media. Oh, you see celebrities. Celebrities are also greatest tool of memetic virus. They transmit a lot of virus. And when I say virus, understand that thought forms in the quantum realm. Thought goes forth and infects people. Spiritually, thoughts. You watch somebody, you watch celebrity, the way they dress, that thought can possess you. A thought form, a spiritual thought form can possess you and begin to manifest similar behavior. And if you understand Satanism, and the higher dimensional evil forces, that's how they work. Perception, deception, right? Again, I read my newspapers, I'm educated, I watch my TV, they tell me what to do, they tell me about politics, and I think that they actually know what they're talking about, and those are the way I get my information. You are being programmed. And what I wrote here is, I am educated because I read newspapers and I watch plenty of news on TV, not off, on TV. Look at my head. It's free to reason. No, but your head is caged. He doesn't just know it. This individual might not know that his entire software program, his whole brain is confined within these agents of control, of mind control. Not really. Your head is maximum prison system. Your head is a maximum prison system. You cannot think. If you remove TV, remove newspaper, people cannot reason anymore. They don't know what to do. Literally, they cannot make decision. They cannot make economic decision. They cannot make political decision. They cannot even make safety decision. You have to look on TV for a doctor to tell you this is what is good. You cannot do your own research. You can't. So if the TV is not there for a doctor to tell you what to do, you can't. That's why they call them the sheeples. The sheeples. Like people, but the sheeps. I finished school, climbed a corporate ladder, I'm making good money, but I look at the world through the manipulative lenses of the controller, of my controllers. That's how a lot of people walk around. The media control their consumption, the ideas about the world controlled by the media. And if they didn't watch TV for a week, they're dumb. They don't know what the fuck is going on. They don't know what to do with their lives anymore, right? That's how the invention of the TV in the early, is it 19th century? I don't remember. The invention of television became the master game for the cryptocratic elites because you can reach the people. They don't even have to come to church anymore. They don't have to come anywhere. They just be in their room and buy this gadget in their living room, and you can program their minds, their consciousness, take over it, and condition them. And many people who write these TV programs and news programs are great psychologists. They understand the compartmentalization of your brain. They understand how to appeal to you. They understand your reactions. Like if you watch a lot of politics, see the polarization between the left and the right. You emotions tapped into it. There are people who call Hegelianism. There are people who create this polarization. They have to make you to belong to the left or to the right. They have to teleguide your emotion like that because these reactions and polar oppositions are serving a purpose for the cryptocrats, for the elite. They want that animosity to be continued in society, right? They want that back and forth. Republicans are doing this, the Democrats are doing this. They want that. There are people who put these people there to promote this kind of mind manipulation. You cannot think, you cannot reason. Your mental process has been hijacked, right? So this is how a lot of people view the world. They are walking, but in their head is what they saw in TV. That is the truth. Somebody can walk out and see that it's snowing or the sun is shining, but deny it. Or they might not even know that they can go out and investigate by themselves. But if once it's in TV and they said it, they believe it with absolutism. They believe it is true. You know, that's how it is easy to govern the people, the sheeple, right? Some people again are working like this, but sometimes you just have to turn it off and get away from it because this is one of the greatest programmer on the planet, right? I cannot see or understand a thing without my eyes. Some people see television as their eyes. They're lost without it. What can they do? They cannot research. They can. So we have to stay at digital hypnotic instruments that project vibration to your mind. I'm not saying that people shouldn't work, but just knowing that what seems to be innocent oftentimes is not innocent. There are programmers, there are mind conditioners somewhere that you might not be aware of who are conditioning the people. But don't think, children are from early childhood, because it's a mark of civilization. You put this gadget in their rooms and literally telling them, do not reason. Their critical reasoning is being hijacked. They cannot think. This is advanced Pavlovian mind conditioning. Pavlovianism. Ivan Pavlov was a Russian um, psychologist, who came out with this method of brainwashing people, controlling people, literally. And a lot of elites use that Pavlovian mind conditioning to make you to cease to think, right? And what I wrote here is like, television has been thinking for me since I was a child. Why should I stress myself to think and research and figure out the world? It's difficult to do the research. Why must I, just they said it on TV. It's true, right? Right? And once you get majority of the society to think like this, you can rule, you can control them. People don't think they're being controlled, but the so-called educated and the uneducated, people are being controlled in the mass. They don't know that, right? They don't know that, right? The masses. See, the cryptocrats call them the masses because they are manipulated hive mind. What does hive mind mean? You're a collective thinker. If you live in the United States and you're a black person, you have to vote Democrats. It's hive mindedness. Hive mindedness. If you are a white evangelical, you got to vote Republican. That's just how it is. You cannot reason. You cannot find out facts for yourself, right? Right? If you live in Saudi Arabia, you got to be a Muslim. If you live in Rome, you got to be a Christian. It's the hive mind method of thinking, right? If I have 30 friends and they all wear Gucci, Gucci, they all wear Gucci, I have to wear Gucci. I have to wear Gucci. No, you don't have to wear Gucci. No, if you live in Saudi Arabia, you can challenge the established religious tradition and say, no, I'm not going to be a Muslim. Right? So it takes certain level of deprogramming the mind for people to be able to think for themselves. Because you look at people, what you see is people whose cognition are under hypnosis and they are not aware of it, right? They are not aware of it. So they cannot make decisions by themselves. They have to, like a child, like infant, run to the cryptocrat and say, please tell me what to do. Oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. I need somebody to help me. Tell me what to do. Oh, professor, my doctor say this, tell me what to do, right? They can't find out information for themselves, right? But you can do your own research. You can't find your own information because those people who you're running to have agenda, and the agenda dictates your life. So who are you? Nobody. So this is what the elites or the cryptocrats want you to do. Watch more TV. We are talking of the vehicles for memetic virus transmission. Social media transmit virus into your mind. They infect your mind with idea. And there are people behind it. And the most example I give is the seemingly dialectical opposition between the Republicans and the Democrats. There are people behind it. You want to believe there are people behind it. It serves their purpose. It divides the people based on political ideology. Because when the people unite, the cryptocrats will not like it. Because one, they will not make money. And one, they have nothing else. How do you control people unless you generate Hegelian dialectic? Hegel is a German philosopher who came out with this theory about the movement of history that based in dialectic. What do you call? It's like action, reaction, solution. Action, reaction, solution, right? You go to somebody's house at night and rob him, steal everything he has, action. In the morning, you become the savior. You go there and give him a lot of money, right? And say, I'm going to build you a new house. I'll help you. So you are providing solution to the problem you created. And that is the same mind controlling techniques that the elites use to control the public. That's what they use to control the public. It's called Hegelian dialectic. So they tell you, watch more TV or tune in to a program. Tune into a program means tune in. I want to infect you with a virus. A virus. I want to infect you with a virus so that you transmit those viruses to other people, so that you cease thinking, right? This is from a movie called They Live. That movie is an eye opener. Remember, sometimes when they make these movies, they are speaking the truth metaphorically. They are speaking the truth metaphorically. So this movie, this particular images here from the movie called They Live, and they told you what is going on in that movie for people who understand cryptography. Cryptography, you have to cipher, you have to decipher what you've been told, right? There are people you're looking up to are Luciferians, you know, evil people who mind program you. You see, in this movie, you're going to see that they look like human beings, but when you have third eye, you actually look at them, they are not people. You know, the agents of the darker side, you know, they're the ones who are projecting virus into your consciousness and programming your feelings about things, your emotions about things, right? This is what the cryptocrats want you to do. Watch more TV, watch more television, and get neurologically programmed through their demonic suggestibility. Once you sit in front of television for a long time, you become something called suggestible. Any psychologist will understand that. When people become suggestible, you can program their mind, because to be suggestive means that they've led your mind to a certain level of trauma. And you can program people once they experience a certain degree of trauma. And trauma is not really, doesn't have to be extremely violent situation. It could be a thought form, a suggestion given to your hand that traumatizes you, and that's how they step in and that's how they step in and control your mind. You hear breaking news, tune in. You know, most of the things you hear like shocking, is shocking. They're using that language as a memetic virus, is infecting you, is causing you trauma. Shocking news, breaking news is shocking. It's shocking, right? That language is they're conditioning you. They're conditioning your psyche. We're talking of things happening. The advanced metaphysics, what I'm talking about right now, advanced spiritual ideas. So by just using the word shocking, it's shocking. They're shocking your mind actually, spiritually, emotionally. And once you're shocked, programming comes after trauma. Once you're shocked, it means your mind, your inner mind is open for susceptibility. They're talking of economy crashing, global pandemic, sexual scandal, celebrity gossips, rapists on the prowl. Somebody's out to get you. Somebody's out to take your credit card. Rapists on the prowl, serial killers out to get you. Your children will die if you don't do this. All those things begin to create trauma, traumatize you, and once you traumatize, it becomes suggestible for their mind control, right? Ask you to tune in and watch our news, quote unquote news, and we will program your mind in a few seconds. We are your light. And I wrote here, after all, Lucifer is the light bearer. Lucifer is the light bearer. Most of these are just demagogues, and most of them are just mind programmers. What they report as news is not news, right? It's not information. So don't let other people influence your thoughts. Don't let other people influence your thoughts. And to see how easy it is to influence people's thoughts means we have to understand the brain. The brain is something very sophisticated. It's a machine. The brain is a machine. And all these compartments here serve certain purpose. And there are people who have studied how each of these compartments work. And these are the people who are designing most of the things you consume as a consumer, right? They know how to go straight into your hand and put ideas into your mind, right? Neuronal colonization. The brain is compartmentalized into two major divisions, the right brain and the left brain. And we know that the right hemisphere has to do with feelings, emotions. And if you want to, even the churches use that. People don't just know that the church is a place for higher level mind programming, right? Before the pastor goes into preaching, what do you see? Music, because that opens your psyche, because your brain at that point is going to certain frequency vibration. It's going towards certain um, vibratory frequency. It's operating on a certain level. And after the music, what comes after immediately is all usually the olfactory. Have to give money. Plus the preaching. The preaching, because by singing and singing and singing, you've been subjected to an emotional state, using mostly your left brain at that point. You become emotional, involved in whatever somebody is telling you. And that pastors are very, if you watch many pastors who are very successful, they are very genius in understanding the use of people's right brain. They won't go here. They won't go a place will make you think. They will go to a place that will make you feel, right? The right brain is the feeler. It feels, because it's the balance, it's the holistic one, it's the one that, it feels emotions, right? So if you are appealing to people to control them, you go with not with the left, you go with here, what they feel. And that's how this cryptocrats control, right? You understand that? So the brain is divided, has two sides. I think this region here is called the corpus callosum. That is what is joining them. So each of the compartment serves, each of the hemispheres serves a particular function. And the right brain is critical logic reasoning. Have you ever gone to church? I use church because it's what a lot of people know, or to mosque, and see them making you to think, they make you to feel most of the time, because they can't go to your left brain. If they go to your left brain, you might be questioning them, and they wouldn't like that, right? The cryptocrats understand this well, and they are hijacking your mind through perception deception. Again, this is the triune brain system. Understanding the brain is important in understanding how other people control people in the media, people who are evil, who want to control other people, how they hijack your mind, and you're thinking that your behavior, what you want to have for breakfast, the kind of clothing or wristwatch you wear is actually from your own thinking. No, people program you. That's why you have industrial psychology. People go to universities to study industrial psychology. There's something called evolutionary psychology. You just stand the basic instinct of people. People are very predictable, very, very, very predictable for people who understand how the brain works, right? Right. So this part of the brain is again responsible for cognition, for reasoning, for thinking. It's called the neocortex. The neocortex. And then we have the midbrain. The midbrain is somewhere here, and then you have the hindbrain. This is the most primitive part of the brain. Is responsible for each sex. This thing that doesn't need higher thought form is kind of more evolution. In terms of evolution, is designed to protect you. You react to safety issues. If you see, somebody saw a snake, it is this part of the brain that just helps you to kind of just instinctively, without thinking about it, look for safety. So basically responsible for reproduction, and for feeding, like you sleeping and you're still blinking, is because of this part of the brain, right? Some people call it neural chassis, the neural chassis, right? So, but when you talk of cognition, thinking, reasoning, processing things rationally, you're talking of the neocortex, this area. That's why they say the triune, like three types of brain, or three parts, not types, of brain. Talking of the neocortex, the hindbrain, and the midbrain. And people who program your mind on televisions and social media understood this. A lot of people don't know that platforms like what do you call it? Facebook is a platform for CIA data fishing. You put everything about your word in there. It's a platform where CIA don't even need to interrogate people anymore because people just divulged all kinds of things about themselves in those social platforms, and it's all over the world. And not just it's all over the world, the computer algorithm is recording it. And as the world moves into the era of the AI, your behavior will be predicted. Time is coming when your desires will be accurately predicted by a computer algorithm. So television is one of the mind programming. And there's something about light. You see how it's blinking? When you're watching, it's flicking. The flickering of light has something to open your psyche. To open your psyche, if you understand spirituality, you open your inner psyche for, again, programming. Another thing is the Blu-ray. You're playing with your iPad, with your gadget, with watching television. There's a blue light, especially these new modern televisions and gadgets. Blue light coming from them. Apart from the fact that it causes biological disease like eye strain, macular degeneration, mood alteration, disruption of your circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is the natural balance of life, right? During in the night, your body naturally secretes chemical that makes your body to fall asleep naturally, right? During the day, your body again secretes chemicals that makes you to stay awake. So this blue light distort them. It creates insomnia. It creates headache, for example, and all kinds of physical discomfort. And why understanding memetics, mind virus, is important is also very important for us to talk about the light, because understanding this will make people to understand how people are conditioned. How many people know that the flickering light, you see this guy probably is in interrogation room, you see the light is in front of his face, is a hypnotic mind opener. When light is flashing, you can use it to control people's minds. If you understand how the brain works, you know that these people who program some of these gadgets can hijack your mind, your neuronal ability, your capacity to think and process information can be taken over, and somebody conditioned you. Reason you see when people are being interrogated, if you watch movies, see when people are being interrogated, always see this funny light on top of them or they're in front of them, just like like this guy interrogation room. You see the light in his front. Why are they putting Bob? Is it just because it's Bob? No, you got to understand the mind. They're trying to crack his mind open, because flickering light is a hypnotic opener. Opens your mind, opens your psyche for suggestion, begin to behave the way that ordinarily you will not behave. You see, interrogation room, light shining brightly, right? Sometimes flickering because the mind program. You see, the light, interrogation room, you see, is dark. Usually nothing is there, but you see the light is a mind conditioning technique, the mind conditioning system, right? And that is why you think that just sitting down in front of flickering TV is cracking open your mind for suggestibility. And that is why you get emotional about politics. You get very emotional about it. You don't know why. Beams of light is being flashed into your consciousness, into your mind, and your eyes is downloading it and transferring it into your psyche. And you become very suggestible and you become very vulnerable to mind program. And then you can just listen to things in TV and then you believe it. Not just that people can condition you, but there's something that light is doing to your mind, right? Which you're not aware of, right? Source of artificial Blu-ray, some of these things are where, we get like Blu-ray light is not just good for people, right? And even Many people have done research about it and tell you that Blu-ray, if you're looking at your cell phone, the light coming from it is synchronizing with your biodigital self, and it's not good for you, taking over, possessing you, right? So you see, the reason understanding mind conditioning is important is go to some churches, for example, you see this kind of light, you see this kind of light. What do you call it? What do you call this kind of light? I forgot what you call this kind of light. Flashing on people. See, the ceiling is full of this light is one to neutralize people's cognitive capacity, because light is certain light, right? Flashing on your mind, on your eyes constantly is a hypnotic mind opener. It cracks open your mind for suggestion. When preacher preaches, you're going to be shouting hallelujah. You don't know that is crafted like that. Because people who begin to design this kind of light, it look like a disco party, but it's a church, right? The mind program is deep on this planet. And a lot of people think that their ideas or what they believe when they go to church or to the mosque is just their own. Some people designed the way you are controlled. You don't know it because many people are dumb. Not to kind of make people feel bad, but sometimes people just have to wake up. So whenever you see this light, it looks like a musical stage, is because they understand the elites who are designing this, and the pastor might not know, but maybe just saw it somewhere else and they copied it. But the people, the originators of this idea, understand that strobe light, I think it's called strobe light, flashing, bright, opens your mind to be suggestible. Being suggestible means being able to accept what people are saying without critical examination. It opens your psyche for that level of brainwashing system, because they want the people to be converted, and they create trauma. That light also creates trauma in your psyche, creates trauma, and it cracks open your mind. Your spiritual self cracks it open, and people can literally walk into your mind and deposit whatever message they want to deposit, and you just close your eyes and get emotional and say, hallelujah. You are under mind control. You're under mind control. And that is, let's go back. That is the same reason in interrogation rooms, interview room, when criminals are being interviewed, light is on their head. That's the same reason. They're trying to crack their minds open for suggestibility, right? If you watch certain movies, you see this light when CIA or KGB, whatever, when security officials are interrogating somebody in the dark room, you already see this funny light dangling. It works to crack your mind open, becomes suggestible. It neutralizes your thinking capacity. Strobe lights, bright lights, captures your mind. You see, to disco halls, where people go to parties, see the same light. They don't want you to think, they just want you to be emotional. And these lights are conditioning your mind. Music is playing on the background, and this light is flashing all over the place. Your psyche becomes cracked open, right? This is also very occult for people who understand the third dimensional mind control system on this planet. This is very highly esoteric. This is very occult. People don't know that, but that is what is going on. They're using the strobe light to crack open your mind for suggestibility. So before you come out of those places, you have been possessed with something. If you like, memetics, mind virus has captured you, and you just accepted a way of life, and that way of life conditions your behavior, right? Flickering lights, public spectacles, public hypnotic mind conditioning, right? So how do you stop yourself from being programmed by other people, right? These should be steps for deprogramming, not steps for programming. Examine the prevalent memetic psychology that directs your that directs mass behavior. Look at the population and see how they behave, because population can be studied in terms of behavioral pattern. A family has a behavior, right? And that behavior is studied. If you come to a family, you see like something called emotional enmeshment. If you want to understand the structure of the family, when you come to a family, pay attention and see who has the power, whose emotions people react to. Mom may say something and they call that everybody run around and start doing it. Say, mom has the power. Mom has the mom controls the mood. Whoever controls the mood. So in terms of family therapy, if you want to understand how to change a family system, you got to understand who controls the mood. The mood. That might just be sitting in his chair, recliner, and folding his hand, and everybody is quiet and everybody is panicking because he's communicating a certain message. So in that case, that controls the mood. And for you to restructure the family means you have to understand who controls the mood. And this, what I'm trying to say here is that to study social behavior of people, stay back and watch how the masses behave and see the prevalent, the most dominant memetic virus that is controlling them, right? Understanding that, we begin to see if you are being controlled by that memetic virus as well, how to can't say that word, extricate yourself or remove yourself from such influence or control. Again, explore the memetic psychology that underpin your individual behavior. The way you go to buy things, what controls it? To impress people? You want to wear good things to impress people, right? So if people are not there, will you still buy the same things you're buying? You know, drive a Ferrari to impress people. So if people are not there, you probably won't buy it. So there's a virus already running in your psyche. If you understand that, you begin to know how to deprogram, because you cannot attain perfect spiritual freedom if you have not deprogrammed your mind from all these bugs or viruses. Again, examine what source influence your belief. What source is influencing your belief system? Is that just because your teacher told you that, because you saw it in TV, or did you actually research it? Did you actually research it? Your pastor told you something, he said, oh, I don't want to think, I just want to believe. No, I'm the one who said, I want to know. I don't just want to believe, I want to know. And that's why I can go into research. And if what you're telling me does not agree with truth, because there's no institution of religion, institution of school that is more than truth. So if what you're telling me is not in accordance with truth, if you are a pope, I'll say, I cannot listen to you. I cannot listen to you, right? Investigate origin of certain memetics or memes. Investigate the origin. How did it come from? Because by investigation, you determine what purpose the memes are likely to serve, right? If you know the origin, you see who likely put this social behavior that everybody, who likely put it out there, and you know the purpose for which it serves, and you can remove yourself from it. So to deprogram yourself oftentimes means you're going to be alone. If you're the kind of person who likes to be loved by everybody, you might not be deprogrammed because you please everybody, right? You might not be able to deprogram yourself. Again, ask who is the beneficiary of certain memetic ideas ruling the social, cultural, economic, political ideospheres, right? Memes are software programs through which our psychological and cultural behavioral patterns are run. Already explained it before. The mind, the brain system is a software system, is a computer system. That computer can be hijacked and programmed by other people, right? So since memes are a viral means virus, viral thought form, since memes are as a viral thought form is bad English. Since memes as a viral thought forms are self-replicating. Once an individual gets infected, he infects his neighbor and the infection spreads to wider society. Once infected, people are neuronally means brain, neuronally and socially programmed to believe and behave in ways that reflect the life replicating force of the memetic virus, right? So, in essence, what we are trying to say here is that to be able to deprogram oneself, to be able to be free, what you call spiritual, because many people who think they are spiritually free are slaves, high level slaves, slaves of certain systems. They don't have their own thinking, they don't have their own minds, they don't have their own wills. Their wills are dependent of the opinions and the suggestions of other people. And you cannot be, there's no way you can be spiritually free in terms of self emancipation, in terms of transcendental um, reasoning, what you call higher freedom. There's no way you can attain higher freedom when you have not understood the forces that controls your life on daily basis. This is the primordial wave. I think I'm going to stop here, not to make it so long. I'll see you some other time.